Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is you'll see that the XTool, just want you to keep this in your head. The F1 has a curve in the plate up here at the top. And you'll see that when we get further down into the video. But I need to switch this over to be the S1 to make sure that we are going to send it to the S1. It gives me also a bigger layout. First thing that I need to do is I need to put a rectangle on the screen. So I can either just click this and get a rectangle, get the crosshairs, or you can click out here on the grid and select the R. Now I don't know how big this is. I don't know why XTool doesn't tell you the size when you're sizing, and the reason is because I work a lot with Fusion 360 and other architectural diagramming tools. And if they would do that, this would make this a lot easier. This, in my opinion, should never be locked. So the width of this is going to be 4.28, and the height of this is going to be 4.28. So just keep that in mind, that if this is locked, it's going to keep your aspect ratio. Now, we're going to put a curvature on here, and the way that I figured this curvature out is, you remember the curve that I just showed you in the F1, is I took a 3/4 inch dowel rod and tried to fit it in there, and it was a little too small. So half a 3/4 inch, right, that's the diameter, so half of that is 3/8 of an inch, or 0.375, and I just went up 0.015. So that gives me a 0.39 here, and then I can get the curve on it. And that was a guess, totally 100% of a guess, but it worked out for me. So we need another rectangle. Press R again. And I don't know how tall it has to be. I know it needs to be about 0.75 or 3/4 inches wide. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about with this aspect ratio. So this is 1.821. If I was over here and I put 0.75 and then I hit tab, it's going to adjust my height. Maybe I didn't want the height to be adjusted. Okay, so I really don't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this, and I need to get this centered on the line. The centers lined up. So as I move across, you'll see the left side there's a line, the center there's a line, and the right side there's a line. We want the centers lined up. So doing this, and you see there's a little bit of play in this application. So just kind of get it the best you can, and then you need to hang this below the outside bordered rectangle. Otherwise, you will not be able to connect them properly. And then lastly, I'm going to press R again, and I'm going to draw approximation of a rectangle and aspect ratio these things, if you will. 2.13 and 3.39 is the height that I want, and then I need to center this horizontally, and I'm going to move it up to get it centered vertically. Now I want this card, let me get this in there, there we go. I want this card to be supported as much as I can, so I'm going to click on this box here and drag this down. I just want enough under there that I can pick the card up with my finger without trying to scrape it out and have problems with it. That's the only point of this box being here. And that'll make a little more sense here in a second. Highlight the outside and that box at the bottom and hit Control C, Control V, and then drag us off to the side. If you did it right, if you ended up with all three of these, then just hit Control Z, it'll undo it. Control Z it all the way back to get to this point. If you need to go further, like if you went too far, so the redo is Control Shift Z. The standard is Control Y. If you're using any Microsoft products, it's usually Control Y, but Shift Control Z will work. Once you get it to this point, again, you can highlight this and then you can hit Subtract, and it will remove this bottom part. It's outside of the realm of this outside box. The same thing here. If we highlight this, the technical term to this is welding. Okay, they're doing a little bit more when they're welding and subtracting, but for the most part, basically whatever's laying in the area and it's crossing, it's going to get rid of it. If it doesn't work out that way, like I said, again, hit Control Z and try another way to do it. But this will work for this. Now, if you lay these on top of each other, like this, you'll see what I'm talking about for your finger to be able to get up in there. When this is done, the back piece will have the little hole out of it, and the top piece will have the hole totally out of it, but will just be a little nudge. And you'll see it once we get it cut. So if you bring the top piece over and you bring the bottom piece over, this white area here is made up of is for the 12-inch by 24-inch piece of plywood. Now, we are using Menards walnut for this cut. It's something that's for in-house. It's not going out. If we were doing this for a client, we definitely would not be using the Menards wood. We'd be using an XTool product because it doesn't smoke as much and it doesn't burn as much. So in order to do this, if you want to cut them both at the same time, then leave the vector alone. I only want to cut the top out, so I'm going to select the bottom and turn this to off. I'm going to click on cut, and I'm going to go back to this one, make sure this one's on, and I'm going to click on cut. Now the power that we need for the Menards wood is 100%. So the easiest way to do this is just click on this and drag this up. And the speed we're running is 5, so just highlight that and hit 5. And do this for both of them at the same time, because if you don't, you could forget about it, and then you're cutting at 1 and a speed of 16, which, is not going to cut anything. It's pretty much just going to etch it or engrave it. Now back here up on the top one, we need to talk about kerf. And this is a really hard topic for a lot of people. So I'm going to make this as simple as I can because I do a lot of CNC machining and I do a lot of woodworking. So I'm going to press C here to make a circle. I'm going to try to make it as round as I can. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to put it dead center. This is where your laser normally cuts. So if I made this dimension here 4.28 by 4.28, and the size of my kerf or my laser diameter, if you want to look at it like that, is 0.446. Now you can measure that. You can burn a line and then measure the width, how it cuts. I believe for the 40 watt, the radius is 0.223 and the diameter is 0.446. So when you click on this with the kerf here, turn the kerf on, it's going to ask you for a compensation width. And what you want to do is you want to put in a 0.22. You can put as many 3s in as you want or whatever, but it's always going to only come back to 2 decimals. I don't know why. I mean, it's a laser. It should be able to be more specific than that. The CNC machines that I use, they go down to 4 and 5 digits. If you need this to be someplace between 0.22 and 0.23, you're going to have to convert all this stuff to millimeters. I believe the 0.22 gives you a 0.5845 in millimeters, and if you were to go to 0.22, if you were to switch to millimeters from 58, 0.58 to 0.59, you'll end up someplace like 0.225. It was not that important to me to put this into play like that. I just was trying to get something cut out. And it worked. So the 0.22 will work. Now, what did that do? What that did is, since we went positive, we went to the outside of this. We went right like this. Okay, so we moved this disc, the center of it, to be on the edge or the radius out. So all you're doing is you're moving the center out to here, which gives you this. Okay, it puts the whole laser on the outside. Now, if on the outside of your cut. Now, if you were going to do negative, then you would come on the inside. This is going to cut this all the way around like this, and it's going to be on the outside, the outside, the outside, all the way around, and it's going to come right back up to where it started. Now, I hope that makes sense about the kerf. Like I said, a lot of people have problems with it, but that's all it is you're just moving it the radius out, because your center of your, I really wish I would quit doing that. The center of your, I'm just going to use this left arrow here. The center of your laser is running this line, and if you move it to the outside by putting in 0.22, you're going to move it outside that distance, and then your center will be over here, like this one here is, like right there. So let me get rid of these circles because we do not want to cut them out. So the next one, again, I would put this in so you do not forget it, 0.22. So first thing we need to do is we need to take this and we're going to actually connect. We didn't connect before because the S1 was still setting off, so now it's connected and it's telling me I've got a whole bunch of firmware updates and everything else, and we're not going to update that right now. The second thing we need to do is we need to do an auto measure. So in order to do an auto measure, what you want to do is you want to bring your laser out into the middle of the field here. Make sure this is up, and then come over to here and click on auto measure. What's going to happen is the pin's going to drop, it's going to come back up, it's going to go back to that corner, and it's going to tell you this is how far off this piece of wood we are. As you can see, it says 0.523. Now the measurement is done. Now the laser knows how far down that piece of wood is from where you're at. The next thing we need to do is we need to do framing. And you'll see this says framing completed here. Well, nothing's happened, right? So what you do is you press this little button here in the front, and it's going to run that red line all the way down the edge. See, that's way too far over for us, okay? Because we're just going to cut in. So you're going to hit framing complete, and we're going to take this and we're going to scoot this over. Now you see this little red crosshairs? If you take your laser and you move it over to the edge where you think you approximately where you want it, like right down the edge where I'm going to cut this, now you can see that the edge is right there. So I need to move this over just a little bit more, and then I can push this to the back right about like that, and that's how far back I can go. So that's basically where I'm going to put this. Now if I do framing again and I say hit the little button in the front, you'll see the red line will go over, come down, and that looks pretty good for what I'm going to cut out. Alright, and you can hit framing complete, and you probably want to move this one over that way too and line it up. Now in order to burn this, to run this and burn it, you'll hit process down here, and it'll tell you this is where it's going to come in to start, and then you're going to hit start. Now this is going to tell you high piece power has been set for this processing. So once we hit OK to process, nothing has happened yet. You still need to press this button, but before you do anything, make sure you take your air assist if you're running it and turn this thing all the way up to max, and then hit the button and let it go. I hope you liked the video. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I hope that you figured out some things about XCS that you didn't know, like Kerf, and I hope that you like the product that's been made. If you don't want to be rolling these up by yourself, you just want to grab the SVG, you can do that. It's going to be out on our Etsy storefront, Thurman Design Company. I'll put that down in the description. And also these cards, highly recommend just getting the ones that come from XTool. Now there's an XTool site, I'll put that link down below, also on Amazon, where you typically can find these cheaper. Okay? Just words of wisdom. If there's anything that you have any questions about that happened in the video, like you have more questions about Kerf, feel free to drop a comment down in the chat. I'll answer it, or send me an email, I'll answer that too. If you're interested in learning how to program in C#, I'm starting up a new channel. It's called Lars C# Workshop. You can find it out on YouTube. I've been an architect and a developer for about 48 years, and I was one of the beta testers on C#. If you're interested in learning a bunch of stuff about it, or just have any questions that you're a C# developer out there, or architect, or whatever, and you have questions about C#, feel free to drop me a note. Okay, I pretty much have been all over .NET and all over C#. So if it's out there and it can be done, I'll probably know how it can be done. You're always welcome back here in the workshop, and as always, have a nice day.